Welcome to our ArcTree mini tutorial. ArcTree is a dependency visualizer plugin for IntelliJ IDEA, and once you install it, you will see this little icon here on the bottom right, and if you click on it, you will open the ArcTree tool window, which is right now completely empty because we haven't created the dependency model yet. To do that, we just click on this create button up here, and it will show us the topmost dependencies in the project, basically dependency going from web app to external. Web app is the only module in this particular system. And in external, we see all the external libraries used by this particular application. I can open the tree and I see more details. I can now see dependencies between packages and this particular class here. The arcs are going always counterclockwise, meaning arcs on the left side of this lane of icons here are going downwards, while arcs on the right side would be going upwards. The clue, the trick, the beauty about ArcTree is that it sorts dependencies in the way that we minimize outgoing dependencies. We're using a clever graph algorithm for that. That means in a cycle-free environment, we can always depict the structure like this without any dependencies going up on the right side. And you can see that the sorting model works. So our default sorting mode is levelize. If I click on alphabetical, you suddenly would see that a lot of dependencies going up on the right side here. So levelize is the natural sorting order for your software, with higher level elements being on the top and lower level elements on the bottom. Now you also see those divider lines. Those are levelization lines. Everything between two divider lines could be considered to be parallel to each other. They're not using each other. And only in our case only have dependencies to levels beneath them. For example, those 3 packages here only have dependencies to those 5 elements and of course to external at the end. And those 6 elements only depend somehow on the elements in the lower levels but do not relate to each other. Now if I click on any element here, I can see the relationships of this particular element. So for example, this home package has relationships to the user package and to the common package and to external. And you can see that those particular relationships are highlighted here. Also, if you look at those arcs, the thicker the arcs are, the more dependencies are hiding behind those arcs. If I click on an arc and open my secondary ArcTree dependencies window, I can see which dependencies are behind this particular link. So in our case, we have 248 dependencies going from home controller to external. If I click on downloads, I can see it has relationships to user and common and so on. So that should be quite intuitive. And of course I can click further down, see files, classes, and even methods. Now if I want to locate dependencies in the code, I can directly go to this dependency list here that is basically all the outgoing dependencies from the download package, and for example can just double click on this line and it will bring me right into the code where this dependency is coming from. So in this case we have a new dependency to the file service class. If you have a larger system, the number of dependencies can often get quite overwhelming, so we also added a focus concept to ArcTree. For example, if I look at this user package here and want to focus only on the incoming and outgoing dependencies of this particular package, I can right click on this package and set a focus. And we have different modes here, and I think this one is self-explanatory. So we just want to look at the in and outgoing dependencies of this particular package, and our picture changes, and now we hide everything from view that does not really belong into this category. So we only see incoming and outgoing dependencies of the user package, and we can even work on the focus and reduce it further. For example, if the home package is not interesting for us, we just say remove from focus and it will also disappear. So this way I can basically create a view that only contains the information that is interesting to the questions I'm right now trying to answer about your code base. And so if I click further into details, I might see, there's the user controller here and delete ticket data and all kind of other classes. Maybe I also want to see what is used by this user controller advice here. So I can say add to focus and add the outgoing dependencies of this particular class. In this case, Nothing new is added, but you get the idea how this is potentially working. Once you expanded or collapsed the element of the tree or worked with focus modes, you can also navigate between the different states. So by just clicking on this backward button, I'm going back to the states I saw before. So even before the focus, and can move forward again and get back to where I was. Or at any time, of course, click here and clear the focus and have the original picture back. At the end, I want to show you how useful ArcTree can be while coding. So now we have a pretty good cycle-free package structure. That's wonderful. Now let's introduce an unwanted dependency, which I prepared in this particular file here. So we will introduce a dependency going from login success service to user retrieval service. Just comment that out, import that particular class and press on save. Now you can see that this create icon has a red dot up here. That means our model is out of date. So I have to click on this button to refresh the model. Now you can suddenly see that we added a package cycle here, going from common to shared and then back to user and common. And if I click on this particular link down here, I can see we have basically this particular code line which we just added is the culprit for that particular cycle. So by just refreshing occasionally after you did some meaningful code changes, you can immediately see if you did something that basically messes with your dependency structure. And if you can keep your system in a way that you have no outgoing dependencies, you have always a well-architected system. You don't even need an architecture description. In that case, you can always put an architecture on top of that system. So that's the beauty about ArcTree, and that's why it's a very, very useful plugin, especially if you work on larger projects where many people are involved, and it is very easy to add unwanted dependencies to your code. If you want to learn more about ArcTree, we have a blog article that is basically our written tutorial that contains all the features of ArcTree. You can find it on blog.hellotomorrow.com. And I will link this tutorial, this written tutorial, in the video description comments below. Thank you for watching, and I hope you will give it a try.